This is Church of Uganda Family TV. Enriching lives. Regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission.
Good evening to you, our esteemed viewer. We welcome you to Family Hour. Today's edition, Edrine Osteen Mukalazi is my name. I believe that you had a beautiful day, and the fact that you can hear this voice, you can see this image. Yeah, we want to thank God that He has protected us, that He has taken us through the day. Of course, whatever has not come out well, tomorrow is another day. Try again. But as for today, we want to thank God we are still alive, we are still breathing. So we want to also thank God for whatever you have had, you who have gotten, who have reached milestones, you have achieved. You're celebrating a particular victory. We want to celebrate together with you. But also we condole with those who have lost loved ones, those who are going through challenging situations. We believe that God is indeed in control of that particular situation. Therefore, don't lose hope. Instead, lift your eyes unto Him, because He is the answer to the world today. In every situation, God is the answer. He knows it all. Therefore, He will intervene. But today, we are here to talk about motivation. The power of motivation is what we are going to discuss the rest of the minutes. We are here. Of course, with us is Diana Angwech. It's a pleasure having you this evening.
I see you said pronouncing my second name.
Yes. Hey, people came against me.
No, I think it's just one person.
They came for me. So that's why I want to make the viewer.
You want to make the viewer happy? Yeah. Okay. Good evening, Edrine. It's always a pleasure to be here. Good evening, viewers. It is always a pleasure to be here.
But I've also mastered the right pronunciation.
You have gotten, you're doing very well. Yeah. You're doing very well.
So am I at 100%?
No, you can never be. Let me tell you why you can never be. When I was doing a campaign at Law Society, I was doing a campaign for the VP position at the time. And so we had to record videos. And so as I'd gone, I think it was about COVID time, so I'd gone back to my parents' house to record the video. And a 1 minute video, you know, if you've done a recording of a 1 minute video, it takes so many takes to get it done. And so I had to, every time I was recording the video, I had to repeat my name. And I kept saying, my name is Diana Angwech, my name is Diana Angwech. And so I later heard from the gentleman that were recording that my father was very disturbed by my pronunciation of my name, because I was not getting it correctly. So if I can't get it correctly as much as possible, I doubt you ever would. But the G is silent, and I think it's a very popular common name. But Diana Angwech is fine.
Okay. At least I'm there. Okay, 95. At least around 95. Nevertheless, here we are. Have you been? How's your week?
Much better.
From last Thursday.
Much better than I think the previous one. The last time I was here, I even looked tired.
And exhausted.
And exhausted, and I saw it. But no, much better. I'm rested now. I think I have understood the price of travel back and forth. And you don't just jump right into it. Perhaps it's age that has come. You don't just jump right into things that I used to. You know, those days when you could travel and you were much younger, you'd come and get right into it. I tried it this time. I don't think it ended well, but I'm so grateful to God. I didn't fall sick. I came back well. That's a big deal for me. Why? Because I don't do too well with extreme heat, extreme cold. And so when I have an imbalance in weather, it's a bit of a difficulty for me. I think that one of the things you learn about travel is that you will appreciate this country much more. You'll never find weather like this anywhere else. It's amazing. Every time I come home, I am amazed as the Lord, Uganda is your firstborn. There's something about Uganda. Because honestly, there's no weather like this. There's no weather like this. There's no food like this. There are no people like our people, regardless of what they are. There are no people like our people. And
are you trying to motivate those who are planning to run out of the country?
No, honestly, I can tell you, I think there's something about travel that changes you. The Baganda say, okutambula kulaba, okudda kunyumya. So I find that saying to be very true, because outside the country is beautiful. It's beautiful in terms of architecture. It's beautiful in terms of seas. We are landlocked country, so we don't have those picturesque things where people are showing. You can photograph. You are beside the sea. You don't have that in this country. You have a black lake that you can show to the world. You don't have that. But the one thing that we do have is a weather that's incomparable to any other place. You have a temperature that's regulated. Even when it's cold, it's not the kind of cold that drives you to a hospital. Even when it's hot, and I know end of January, February was a bit of a mess, but even then we know it's for a certain period of time and it will calm down. And I've been in places where it was really hot, and I can tell you we didn't get there. Without extreme heat, we didn't get there. So I have learned to appreciate this country much more. I think that God specifically chose Uganda and put us in a correct space. Even our neighbors sometimes don't have. I think Rwanda is similar to us in terms of weather, but otherwise I think weather is something you will appreciate. Food is something you will appreciate. Food, you will love the food, but also you will understand that people here are friendly. Compared to many places you travel, you'll find people are friendly, but even the service, the quality of service, I was a bit shocked, because I think where I was, I thought I expected a level of service that was high quality. I said I get better service in Uganda than this. So no, it's good to be back, and it's good also to be here with you.
Sure. Talk about motivation. You've already motivated us to stay in our country, appreciate it and love it. So you're preaching.
There is no place like home, and I don't think that saying is just a saying out of the heart. It's true. There is no place like home. Okay. Yeah.
Uganda is Singapore. So that statement comes true.
Yeah.
Uganda is Singapore.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, talking about motivation, and if we can start from motivation as a word, because we hear motivation. And people, especially employees, are asking for motivation. I'm not motivated, I'm demotivated, but sometimes we really fail out on the real understanding of the term motivation.
I like how you said employees. It makes it seem like employees are the ones supposed to be motivated.
No, most times it's rare to find employers.
Who need motivation?
No, asking for motivation. I mean, complaining over motivation.
Motivation, because they're bound by what they started. True. Usually there's an entrepreneurial spirit that starts it, and when the buck stops with you, it's very different. It's very different when it's you that's at the end of the food chain, the end at the top. It's different, and so you view things differently. And then as I begin to define the word, when you talked about employees, it reminded me of my second boss. I remember we had a clerk at work, and he would run from place to place. He was like a running machine. They'd send him to do this and he'd go running. He could not walk. I didn't understand. I always wondered why. And I remember sitting in my office with the boss standing right there, and he looked out of the window, and the clerk was dashing to do something. And he said to me that someone like that does not need much motivation, because he can self-motivate. He will do things to the end of himself. And I don't know whether he was intending to pass on a message to me, because by nature, even I do things to the end of myself. But I found that very interesting, because he was beginning to say, there's something about this clerk that's so different from any other person I have met who does the same role, because I don't need to do much for him to go running. He will do it all by himself. Perhaps what he didn't consider at the time is that the person was on the brink of not having money. And so just water in a desert, something so small that was coming his way, was enough for him to go running, to do what he wants. But motivation is the force that initiates, guides, and maintains goal-oriented behaviors. I think that's the simplest way to describe it. It initiates, it guides, and maintains goal-oriented behaviors. That's a very simple definition that each of us can remember. It's the idea that there are things you want to do, there are things you desire to do, and there's a force that enables you to do it. I like that specific definition because it talks about it initiates, means it starts, then it maintains, because everybody knows you need maintenance in something. If you start a race, I liked what someone said recently. They said that many people, when they train, especially in a race, they don't train for the beginning and the end, they train for the middle, where it's difficult to maintain that momentum, that ability to sprint from the first 100 meters and maintain that stamina in the middle and reach. I used to be an athlete those days when I was much younger.
So how did you lose that?
I gained weight, but my name actually means running. My surname, the one that we're talking about in pronunciation, actually means running. So yes, that's the meaning of the name, the one that you're trying to pronounce. But motivation helps maintain, and maintenance is something that we all need to keep going. Because if you stop and you don't maintain the status quo, you don't maintain the effort that you have, then you are going to fall back. But it also helps you to achieve what you want. But some people have described it as a complex blend between personal aspirations, cultural backgrounds, and psychological factors. That also lends credit to our discussion, because all of us have personal aspirations. I mean, when we were growing up, we've had this discussion before. What do you want to be? So there is something inside of us that desires to be something. There's something we want to achieve. Maybe it's a name that we want to achieve. Maybe it's a status that we want to achieve. Maybe it's perhaps even just standing in society that we want to achieve. When you combine that with your cultural background, now you being a Muganda, have a certain sort of cultural background that's different from us who are not Bantu. From us who are not, who are Luo.
You say who are not Bantu,
it's intentional. Us who are Luo, it's different. Our cultural backgrounds and our family backgrounds are always going to put us at odds. It's why when people cross cultures, when they're getting married, it's a bit of a difficulty, because one culture, they hug in-laws. The other culture, it's an abomination to hug in-laws. I remember when my brother was getting married and my sister-in-law came, she was very shocked by the fact that we have vuko. She was shocked that she had to kneel. She was shocked that she could not touch her father-in-law. She was shocked, that whole cultural background. And so even motivation, as we're talking about a force, it's a mix between those personal aspirations, those cultural backgrounds, and also psychological factors, how you have been affected in life by the different things that come against you. And so that could be how you were brought up, family background, all those things. That blend between those three things is what gives rise to what you call motivation.
Now that we know motivation, other factors that drive motivation in individuals?
In individuals. That's a very interesting question. So yes, there are factors that drive them, but you talk about intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. And so I think the easiest one is this extrinsic motivation. So those are the things that when we talk about factors, those are the things that drive people to be motivated. Extrinsic is the easiest because it's an outward. It has to do with rewards. It has to do with appreciation. It has to do with recognition. Those things that are outside of yourself that give you that tug at something on the inside of you. Intrinsically, it's something to do with your aspiration, something that makes you tick, the thing that makes you wake up. Now, those are the things that motivate you. So when you talk about extrinsic factors, you talk about things such as rewards. Those things will drive you. They'll drive you. Today, if I was given a job that earned a certain amount of money, if you could put a number to it, if you were given position, and you were given that particular position, and it came with different perks. You know places where people like to work in, when they say, if you get the job in this place, you can die there, you're settled for life. Yeah, And if you get a job in the Bank of Uganda, if you get a job in the World Bank, if you get a job, and it's not contractual, it keeps going. And you know that the perks that come with that position are what make the difference. Now, those are things that motivate people. The idea that there is a reward that comes from this particular thing. If some people, it's maybe public recognition. But each of us wants to be recognized, whether it's public or it's private. I know many introverts like to say they would not like to be put at the front line. Yeah, they don't want to be put up at the front seat. But public recognition may not even necessarily be present, may not be as public as we're expecting it, but every single one of us, introvert, extrovert, likes recognition. We thrive on recognition. There is something that happens when people begin to clap for you. And I've also seen there's something that happens when people get standing ovations. Yeah. It's a tool that can both work for you and can break you. I used it recently at some place. I could see that there was a tension between a big dignitary in a place because certain people had spoken before them, and they did not like the people that had spoken before them. And so while I was at the microphone inviting the person, they had refused to get up. And so what I did is I moved on to the easiest thing, recognition. So I knew that the crux of that inability to come up was they did not appreciate the other people who had spoken before them. The only way to get the person up was to recognize them in a much higher way. And so I got people to stand as a standing ovation, and they moved up and did, because human beings love recognition. They thrive on it. Whether they say they are humble or not, they thrive on recognition. They like it so much they can milk it up and turn it into something. There's a danger in that, especially as a leader, because that can get you into levels of pride and vanity that you are not able to deal with. But that recognition is one of the factors that drives motivation, because people want to be seen. All of us want to be seen and known. So when you have rewards, you have public recognition, there are also other factors, and they could be negative and both positive. Some people coming from a background where it was very hard. You've heard people say on social media, I know what poverty means. I will never be poor again. And so they will do every job that comes their way. They will work so hard so that they know that they will never be poor again. And so it's a negative reaction. So it's a reaction from a negative situation, that you went through poverty, understand the mockery of poverty, understand the difficulty of being raised. They know what it means not to have school fees, to be chased out of school because there was no school fees. They know what it means maybe even to stay back in a class. So those are things that affect. Some negative situations also include parents dying off early. And so because people lost their parents early, they are motivated also to help somebody else. The force that drives their giving to other people is because they suffered. And so you have those negative psychological factors that sort of push people to a place until they become better for who they are. So they can be both positive, they can be negative, and they are varying factors, but are different, but each of them is centered either in the things that we have experienced, in those psychological factors, or those personal interests, or even just the cultural backgrounds.
Okay. How then does this, especially when we talk about personal and professional growth, maybe in a place of work, how does this motivation influence the growth? It could be personal, or maybe professional, or even organizational.
I think it boosts efficiency at work. The story about my boss, he never had to do much for the clerk. He just told the clerk one thing and the clerk went running. And he said, I like him because he's self-motivated. But I thought there was something more to this clerk. And the truth is that he came in smelling alcohol every morning. That clerk did come in smelling alcohol every morning. Meaning that whatever it was, every time somebody is at that level, there is something they're trying to mask. There is a pain they're trying to shield. Now, whether it was coming from maybe not having a difficult family situation or life, there was something about him that was driving him to work. Maybe even just to get money for alcohol, That's something that can be driving them. But motivation boosts efficiency at work because you don't need to do much for people. And even if you do, you just need to know which thread to pull, which button to tick, which string to pull, and people will be efficient at what they work. If you tell people at the end of the day that they're going to be recognized as the employee of the month, or they're going to have a land title should their sales be higher, or that they're entitled to travel. I'm a board member of ACME, and ACME is African Center for Media Excellency. And one of the things they do every year is to have media awards. And what I loved about last Media Awards is that they took the best of the people. They're taking them to a field trip. I think it's to Europe, some place in Europe. Even I want to be on that trip. When I want to be on that trip. But it's such motivation for journalists and media personalities to participate, because you have an idea that if you have never gone beyond certain boundaries, you have an opportunity to see Europe. That boosts people's efficiency. So the next time they enter into the awards, they are going to follow what makes me the best. How can I be an age above everybody else that puts me at a place where I have an opportunity to win. And so that when you see a string is being pulled at the end, that's causing people to become very innovative at how they are working. It's causing people to think differently and out of the box. It's causing people to figure out what's the shortest time that I can become efficient. The other is that it spurs you into action. Many people wake up on Monday morning and say it's another Monday, or you'll see statuses full of today failed, let's try again tomorrow. Situations. People are looking for an opportunity to be motivated on a Monday. An employer that hacks it beyond salary will put something interesting to get people to come in on Monday.
But what's wrong with Monday?
So no, it's just you see, it's the surge from having a lazy weekend and coming right into a Monday. Most people have enjoyed the week. Did you see the comments when we're getting to it was Monday, Thursday, right into Good Friday? Oh my God. Everybody was rejoicing about the long weekend, the different things. But you need to motivation spurs people into action. That they are not seated back. They don't come gloomy to work. They don't come wondering what's going to happen. They are able to find something either intrinsically or externally that will get them to move faster. And some of those things can include framing a project. Then you give somebody leadership. You find that somebody loves to be at the center and to lead, and so you frame it such that they are the ones who have the skills. Or you give them a challenge. Earlier on, we're talking about a challenge, a thrill that gets people moving. And so we'll say something such as, we're going to give you who likes mountain climbing, we're going to give you an opportunity to pay for your mountain climbing. And so that's a way that can help. But I guess lastly, it promotes healthy behaviors. Everybody wants a healthy workplace. Everybody wants a healthy home. Everybody wants a healthy lifestyle. And so what motivation does is that it helps you have healthier choices. Because I know I want to live long, I get up and exercise. Now, I made a comment the other week, actually Easter Monday, or when I got up. So I have to psych myself up to exercise. And so I have goals. And while my watch gives me goals every month, which I don't appreciate because it's always worse. Every time you accomplish 1 month, it takes it higher every other month. And so I didn't have a break this year. I accomplished January, February, March. And so when I saw the Apple goal, I said, this watch is trying to kill me. And so one of the things when I get up in the morning and I don't have strength to do so, I try and find a workout buddy. And so I decided to mix two things that I love: the mentorship program that I'm a part of and I run, and the fact that I need to exercise. So I knew and found out that my mentee likes to exercise and she likes to walk. And I'd been away for sort of 2 weeks. And I hadn't been able to meet with her. So I said, why not combine? Since I have no motivation to walk, I know she likes to walk, let me suggest that we walk, 2 birds with 1 stone. And so Easter Monday it was, and we got to walking. And I remember making a comment. I said, at her age, she likes to walk. At my age, I need to walk. And so it promotes healthy behaviors. because you make healthier choices when you are motivated. My goal is to be healthy at the end of the day, not to gain muscle, just to be healthy. Not to gain up extraordinary muscle, just healthy muscle. Yeah.
We are taking a short commercial break. When we return, we shall start from there. Why do you exercise? To gain muscle?
You need it.
We are taking a break.